In this video, I'll guide you through a beginner's tutorial on drawing faces, covering essential techniques, various angles, and facial features. I'll break this down into manageable chunks that you can follow to not only improve your drawings, but especially your portrait drawings. I'm Hayden Simmons, artist and illustrator, and the Portrait Guru is all about helping you become a better artist and a better portrait drawer. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the Portrait Guru, and give me your comments below with how you got on. And I'm going to break this down so it cannot be broken again. So let's get into it.
Drawing your head straight on. Draw a simple circle to represent the head. Draw a vertical line through the center of the circle. Add a horizontal line through the circle at the midpoint. Extend the line so that the length is the same size as the horizontal line to the bottom of the circle. This line represents the brow line and typically aligned with the top of the ears. Draw another horizontal line at the bottom of the circle. This is where the mouth usually sits and is generally in line with the bottom of the ears. Add a small horizontal line at the end of the vertical line, representing the chin. From here, you can start adding the jawline, connecting it to the sides of the circle where the ears would be. Then you can draw the facial features. Comment below on how your head drawings turned out. I'd love to hear how you got on. Drawing your head looking left or right. Begin with a simple circle. Draw a vertical line around the center of the circle, thinking in 3D. Add a smaller circle to the side of the main circle to represent the side of the face. Draw a vertical line through the center of that circle. The length should be twice the height from the horizontal brow line to the bottom of this circle. Add a horizontal line through the circle to indicate the brow line. Wrap this line around the head to show where the ears sit. Draw another horizontal line where the mouth sits. And then, like before, draw the jawline, connect it to the sides of that circle, and then draw the facial features. Drawing your head looking up or down. Again, draw a simple circle. Add the vertical and horizontal lines as done for the side views. For a head looking up, curve the horizontal line upwards to represent the tilt of the head. For a head looking down, curve the horizontal line downwards. Adjust the vertical line to follow the curve as well. Remember that all heads conform to perspective. Breaking the eye down. So the eye includes these essential elements: the iris, pupil, eyebrow, and upper and lower lids. Remember, the eye isn't flat but curved like a sphere, which is a common mistake a lot of beginners make. I recommend practicing drawing these eye diagrams to understand its curved nature. The eye has wide pupils in low light, faraway objects, and happy emotions, while small pupils are shown in bright light, close objects, and shocked or angry emotions. Eyes sit one eye width apart from each other, so drawing an eye straight on. So step 1, begin by drawing a simple circle to represent the eyeball. This will serve as the foundation for your eye drawing. Step 2, within the circle, draw the iris and pupil. The iris is the colored part of the eye and the pupil is the dark center. Step 3, draw the upper and lower eyelids around the iris and pupil. Follow the eye shape for a 3D look. Check that your eyelids match the circle's length you drew at the start. Normally, the upper eyelid covers some of the iris and the peaks of the eyelids don't line up perfectly. The highest point of the upper eyelid should be nearer to the inner eye, while the highest point of the lower eyelid should be closer to the outer corner. Additionally, the lower eyelid tends to be more horizontal, while the upper eyelid has a curved nature. So think of 3 lines for the upper and 2 lines for the lower. Step 4. Add the corners of the eyes, known as the inner and outer corner. These help define the shape and the expression of the eye. This is usually drawn as a C shape for the inner part and a V shape for the outer. Step 5. Erase the initial circle and redefine the shape of the eyelids. Add creases to the eyelids for a natural, lifelike appearance. Step 6. Fill in the pupil with a dark shade, leaving small areas for reflections or highlights. These reflections add depth and realism to the eye. Step 7. Shade inside the eye to make it more real. Think about light and dark to give it a 3D feel. Draw shadows around the eyelids, under the eye and around the corners. Use shading to make some parts darker and then some parts lighter, which makes it look deeper and more real life. This is because it imitates how light shines on the face. Step 8. Make sure your eyelashes look different and varied. Start them thin near the inner corner of the eye, then make them thicker as they go towards the outer corner. Also, make sure they spread out naturally, not just sticking straight out from the eye. And there you have it, a finished eye drawing. So drawing an eye looking down. So when drawing an eye looking down, start with the same basic steps, but adjust the position of the iris and lower pupil on the eyeball. Link back to the diagrams at the start of this video to help with this. Pay attention to the curve of the eyelids and the angle of the eyebrows. Here's a top tip: increase your line thickness of the eyelids for an extra 3D feel. When the eye looks sideways, down or up, pupil appears taller. This is because the curved shape of the eye changes how we see the pupil. Even though the pupil stays the same shape, the curved surface makes it look longer when we look at it from different angles. Drawing an eye looking up. For an eye looking up, follow the similar steps, but position this iris and the pupil higher up on the eyeball. The lower eyelid may be less visible, and there may be more space between the eye and the upper eyelid. Drawing an eye looking to the side. So when drawing an eye looking to the side, adjust the placement of the iris and the pupil accordingly. Pay close attention to the angle of the eye. Breaking down the nose. The nose consists of several essential elements and is supported by cartilage. It protrudes from the base of the head and is shaped like a pyramid. The nose features 3 planes on its main structure and 3 additional planes at the bottom. Keep these 2 diagrams in mind when considering the planes of the nose. Drawing the nose in 4 easy steps. Start with the big shapes. Begin by sketching the nose as a large shape, such as a rectangle. Use basic shapes and straight lines to define the structure. Ensure that the height is correctly proportional to the width. Breaking these down, so add more complex shapes into the mix and add further details. Add shadows. Add shadows especially to the bottom part of the nose and the nostrils, which are usually the darkest and most intense shadows, and the sides of the nose too. Remember not to make your shading too complicated and stick to 2 or 3 tones, so the maximum amount of light is typically on the bridge and the tip of the nose, whilst the deepest shadows are at the base, so near the nostrils. Focus on indicating just these areas to avoid making the drawing appear too heavy for your drawing. Then last up is adding further shadows and details. Remember that a nose has 3 sides to it and should appear round and 3D, so shade with this in mind. Keep adding shadows all around your nose drawing until it starts to look realistic. And that's it, your finished drawing. Drawing noses from different angles. When a nose looks up, all of its nostrils can be seen, with the heaviest shadows usually coming from the nostrils themselves. Keep the shading light around the sides of the nose. For a nose looking down, the nostrils aren't seen. Follow the steps from before, so start with a big shape, break it down into manageable chunks, add shadows, and then add details. And then by the end of it, you should have 2 or 3 nose drawings from different angles. Breaking down the mouth. The mouth consists of several key elements. The lips have a pinkish colour due to the underlying tissue. The mouth lies on a semi-cylindrical surface of the jawbones. The mouth angles downwards in the side view and can be simplified into 3 circles for the upper lip, with a heart shape in the middle, and 2 for the lower lip. Like the eyes, the mouth is one of the most expressive elements of the face. Drawing a mouth in 4 easy steps. Start with circle shapes. Begin by sketching the mouth with 5 circles, 3 for the upper and 2 for the lower lip. Remember the heart shape for the middle part. Break these down. Add more complex shapes using straighter lines. When drawing the lips, it's crucial to draw the line that separates them, ensuring it lies on a semi-cylindrical surface that conforms to perspective. All heads conform to perspective. Shade with 1 tone. Start shading the mouth using just 1 tone. Focus on shading the upper lip, the rims, the line in between the lips, and below the lower lip. Shading with one tone helps you distinguish between lights and darks. Add more shadows and details, so introduce 2 or 3 tones with the darkest tones between the lips, under the lips, and on parts of the upper lips. If helpful, draw 2 or 3 boxes in a row to practice shading. And then that's it, your finished mouth drawing. Drawing mouths from different angles. How to draw a mouth looking down, bottom lip is less visible, whilst the upper lip is more prominent. The shadows will be more pronounced under the upper lip and on the lower part of the lower lip. The area under the nose may also cast a slight shadow over the top of the upper lip. Emphasize the downward curve of the upper lip and the corners of the mouth. The upper lip will appear fuller, so if the teeth are visible, they'll be seen more from an upper angle. Draw them lightly and definitely avoid over detailing. So looking up, the mouth is viewed from below, the upper lip is less visible, while the lower lip becomes more prominent. So the shadows will be more pronounced under the lower lip, as the light source is typically from above. So emphasize the curve of the lower lip and the slight upward curve of the corners of the mouth. The lower lip will appear fuller. So if the teeth are visible, they will be seen more from a lower angle. Draw them lightly and avoid over detailing to keep the focus on the lips. And then by the end, you should have 2 or 3 drawings from different angles, breaking the ear down. The ear includes these essential elements. I'm not even going to pronounce some of these as I'll save myself some embarrassment. But the ear isn't flat against the base of the head. It's angled when the face looks straight on. The ear is in line with the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose. The angle continues through the jawline, and the ear is also a similar angle to that of the nose. The ear comes in 3 parts, like shown here. Drawing the ear in 4 easy steps. Start with the big shapes. Start by breaking the ear into a big shape using straight lines. Make sure the height and width is correct, and there is a slight tilt or angle in the ear like the previous diagram. So now begin to add these elements, focus on the more complex shapes inside the ear. Again, check that everything is in proportion and to one another. Your drawing should essentially have no more than 10 lines here to convey the ear. Add shadows. Start to draw the shadows, especially the cast and core shadows. Remember to not make your drawing too complicated and focus on those shapes. Stick to only 2 or 3 tones for your drawing. Add further shadows and details. So remember that the ear should appear round and 3D, so shade with this in mind. Add shadows of the inside of the ear, around the top inner part and around the ear itself. Add variation to your line weights for added interest. And that's it, you're finished drawing. Drawing ears looking up and down. So now you've covered an ear looking to the side, what about looking up or down? Keep these 2 diagrams in mind when drawing these angles. Remember this helpful sentence. When a face looks down, ears are up or higher on the head, whilst when a face looks up, ears are down or lower on the head. This is because it conforms to perspective. Follow the steps from 4, starting with a big shape, breaking it down to manageable chunks, adding shadows and then details. And then you should be left with 2 or 3 ear drawings from different angles. Hair basics. First of all, remember that the head is a sphere, which you should always think of when you draw hair. Drawing hair flat is a classic beginner drawing mistake that makes your drawings look unrealistic. Hair is driven by gravity, which causes it to fall naturally. There are many variations of hair, so it's a great idea to reference different sources. Remember that hair has volume and layers and is not glued to the head. How to draw hair in 4 easy steps. Sketch the overall shape or outline of the hair lightly. Drawing the scalp can also be helpful to identify where the hair starts. Sketch smaller, big shapes. Draw sections or clumps of hair from that main shape. Find the flow or direction of the hair using long, fluid motions. Remember to use your shoulder or elbow when drawing and draw in a flowing state. This step focuses on locks of hair, not individual strands. Shade the hair. Once you've drawn all the flowing lines, it's time to shade the hair. Identify the highlights, which you can leave as pure white of the paper. Start shading the light tones with a hard pencil, so 2H for example, then move on to the mid and dark tones using a softer pencil. You should have highlights, light a mid-tone, and also dark tones at this stage. And then add texture to the hair. Focus on depicting the individual strands. Rather than drawing each hair separately, employ a pattern to give the illusion of numerous strands. So use a sharp 2B pencil for this stage. Draw with a flicking motion starting in the darkest areas and fading into the light areas. Follow the hair's direction. As your pencil lifts off the page at the end of each flick, it should leave a narrow, sharp point. Use tapered lines varying from soft to hard pressure and vice versa. Add a bit more texture and tones, and that's it, the finished hair drawing. Drawing other hair types. Straight hair. Start with the basic shape of the hair following the natural flow of the scalp. Straight hair typically falls smoothly and doesn't have much volume. Draw long, fluid lines to represent the strands, keeping them relatively close together. Emphasize the natural fall of the hair with gentle curves. Use a 2B pencil to add subtle shading, ensuring you leave highlights where the light hits directly. Use tapered lines to add fine details, create an illusion of individual strands. Wavy hair. Sketch the general shape of the wavy hair considering its bounce and volume. Wavy hair usually has more body and tends to curve in an S shape. Draw sections that flow in gentle waves using long flowing lines to capture the wavy texture. Be mindful of the direction each wave takes. Highlight the waves by shading the concave parts darker and leaving the convex parts lighter. Use a flicking motion to add texture following the wave pattern. Curly hair. Outline the overall shape of the curly hair considering its fullness and volume. Curly hair tends to expand outward, creating a more rounded shape. Draw smaller sections of clumps or curls using tight, circular motions to represent the curls, ensuring they interlock naturally. Shade the curls by darkening the areas where the curls overlap or are more compact. Use a combination of circular and flicking motions as texture, emphasizing the tight curls.